Kamusta mga kaibigan? Welcome to JoshFriends, where faith meets friendship and inspiration is always within reach. Ako po si Father Migs Ramirez, and as we step into another year together, I'm so glad you're here with us. For those just joining us, think of this as your spiritual tambayan, a place where we gather to share stories of faith through the amazing collection from JESCOM exclusives, Stories of Faith. Whether you're a long-time listener or this is your first time here, tuloy po kayo. Part na kayo ng barkada namin. Each episode, we invite friends of the Jesuits to share something special from the JESCOM Exclusives Library. Readings from our books, song lyrics turned into poetry, and words that might be exactly what your heart needs to hear today. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into another episode of heartwarming stories and uplifting messages. Are you ready? Let's go!
I've managed concert tours across 3 continents. And the one thing nobody tells you about leading, whether it's a choir or a community, is how often you're navigating without a map. I'm Odette Galura, Executive Director of Cosmic Philippines, Corporate Secretary for the Philippine Madrigal Singers Music Incorporated, and the Andrea O Veneracion Sing Philippines Foundation, and the company manager of the Andrea O Veneracion Sing Philippines Youth Choir. And before all of that, bago ako naging taong nagtatago sa likod ng spreadsheets at logistics, I was a singer, a performing member of the Philippine Madrigal Singers from 1998 to 2004. 3 international concert tours, 3 different continents. One choir that permanently changed how I understood what music is actually for. When you're 20-something and you're singing on a stage in Europe, nandun ka sa isang karanasan halos imposibleng ilarawan sa salita. The blend, the discipline, the collective breath before a phrase, walang katulad. You don't feel like a soloist. You genuinely feel like a part of something larger than your own voice. That experience changed my perspective completely. It set a baseline for how things should be done. It taught me how not to settle for anything less when it comes to service. Behind that standard was a deep sense of mission for the Filipino people, the dream of a singing Philippines. Just as our founder, National Artist for Music, Professor Andrea Veneracion, envisioned it. Kung gagawin din lang natin ito para sa bansa at para sa sining, panindigan natin. Let's give it everything. And then, over the years, my rules shifted. I stopped being the voice on stage and became the person making sure that those voices could actually be heard. Serving as the administrative director of the Philippine Madrigal Singers for 7 years meant building systems, managing logistics, and holding structures together para makahinga ng maluwag yung sining at artistry nila. Maraming tao ang hindi nakakakita kung gaano kahirap ang ganoong trabaho. Not because it lacks meaning, it's deeply fulfilling. But the real battle is keeping up with everyone's expectations and doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Kahit na sa loob-loob mo, unti-unti mo nang nawawala ang sarili mo sa mga personal na pagsubok na hindi mo man lang maipaliwanag sa sarili mo at lalo sa iba. You have to stay steady for the team and keep showing up, even when you're quietly struggling inside. You need a fixed point, something that doesn't move when everything around you does. This May, buwan ng Mayo, buwan ni Maria, a song has been quietly living in my chest. Stella Maris by Bukas Palad Music Ministry, Star of the Sea. Kung itong aming paglalayag, inabot ng pagkabagabag, naway mabanaagan ka. Navigation is something I understand, not poetically but practically. When you're managing a choral institution, sustaining a community of singers and musicians across seasons, across budget cycles, across creative tensions and personal challenges, May mga sandali talaga na hindi mo alam kung saan ang norte. The direction is genuinely unclear, and you still have to keep moving.
For centuries, mariners used stars to navigate. Stella Maris, the star of the sea, a fixed point in the sky when everything beneath you is in motion. But in looking for that fixed point, I learned that I couldn't just rely on my own eyes or my own strength. True discernment, true discernment means recognizing that you need God and the very people He sends to guide you, whether that's through the wisdom of spiritual directors like my Jesuit guides and Father Manoling Francisco, or the quiet presence of those walking beside you. Ultimately, it's about looking up and trusting the anchors He provides, especially Mary, who leads us through the darkest waters.
Kahit alon man ng pangamba, di alintana sapagkat naron ka. That line is not about the absence of difficulty. It's about orientation in the middle of it. Naron ka. That's the anchor. Not that the waves stop, just that you know exactly where to look. For those of us who serve through music, choir members, worship musicians, choir directors, music ministers, alam nating mabuti ang pakiramdam na ito. You've had rehearsals that ran too long and still didn't feel ready. You've had Sunday mornings or Saturday evenings, in my case, where two members didn't show, the sound system cut out mid-entrance, and you still had to lead because the community was there and they were waiting. Hindi mo kayang i-cancel ang pangmisa dahil kulang ang boses o kulang ang tao. That requires something deeper than discipline. It requires an interior anchor. And what a song like Stella Maris does, what Bukas Palad has done with extraordinary care, guided by that same Ignatian spirituality, is give language to that anchor. It puts into melody and lyric the very thing we carry in our chests, but rarely find the right words for. Maria sa puso ni Numan, ika'y tala ng kalangitan. Ningning mo ay walang pagmamaliw. Walang pagmamaliw, unfading light. When you're tired in this kind of service, you will be tired. You need something that doesn't fade with the season or the circumstance. Not applause, not recognition, something more constant than either of those things. Ngayon, as someone who also advises the Jazz Mass Choir of the Cathedral of St. Andrew in Parañaque City, I have seen this every single week for almost 20 years. I see choir members arriving after a full workday, students, teachers, professionals, parents, warming up, preparing, showing up for the community at that pangmisa. Not because it's glamorous, but because something in them has already decided. This matters, and I'm not going to be the reason it doesn't happen. That kind of commitment deserves to be equipped well. For choirs and worship communities want to bring Stella Maris into their repertoire, ang song sheet ay makukuha sa JessCom exclusives sa jesscom.ph/Josh. Because there is a real difference between hearing a song and being prepared to sing it with your community. One is an experience, the other is a ministry. And the song itself, Stella Maris by Bukas Palad, is on Spotify, Apple Music, and all major streaming platforms. Stream it first, let it find you, then bring it to your choir. May is the month of Mary, and every year I find myself sitting with what that actually means, not just as a tradition, but as a personal invitation.
Her life was not built on visibility. She didn't leave behind a single recorded word of her own in Scripture. She carried, she sustained, she accompanied. At the wedding in Cana, at the foot of the cross, in the upper room, always present, always holding the person in the room, making sure everything stayed together, even when everything was falling apart.
Marami sa atin ang nakakakilala ng ganong uri ng paglilingkod. There's something in that for those of us who lead from behind, who sustain communities, who make sure the folder is updated, the music is printed, the rehearsal room is reserved, the singers are supported, the quiet, necessary work of holding. Stella Maris reminds me that in that steadiness, may bituin na sumasaksi. There is a light that does not depend on whether anyone is watching. Tanglawan kami aming ina, sa kalangitan naming pita. Lead us, light us. Even in the ordinary Tuesday evenings of rehearsal, even in the administrative emails and the logistics that make no one's highlight reel, even when the work feels invisible, because it isn't, it never was. If you serve through music as a singer, a director, an administrator, or simply someone who believes that what your choir does on a Sunday morning or Saturday evening in our case is worth doing well, this month is for you. Stream Stella Maris by Bukas Palad on Spotify, Apple Music, and all major digital streaming platforms. And if you want to bring it to your community para ituro, para pagsabay-sabayin, para awitin ang grupo ng buong puso, ang song sheet ay nasa jescom.ph/Josh. Jescom Exclusives. At kung naghahanap ka ng something to read this season, mga libro na magbibigay ng direksyon, hindi lang inspirasyon, andun din sila. Dahil this year, the question isn't just, do you believe? The question is, when you can't see where you're going, what is your star?
Maraming salamat po mga kaibigan. I hope the words we shared resonated with you and gave you something beautiful to carry into your week. Remember, the full book, song, or resource we featured today, along with so many other inspiring materials, can be found at JustCom Exclusives Stories of Faith. And before we go, I want to remind you, in this journey of faith, hindi ka nag-iisa. We are all in this together, growing and discovering God's love in every conversation, every story, and every moment. Ito po si Father Migs Ramirez, and until we meet again, paalam at ingat mga kaibigan.